My daughter's wedding was approaching, and I had taken a few days off to oversee all the preparations. That evening, as I returned home from running errands, my wife handed me an envelope. The sender's name caught my attention, Peter Benson. It had been years since I had heard that name. Curiously, I opened the envelope to find a check for $100,000 and a letter inside. My hands trembled as I read it in one breath. Dear sir, I am sending you a small gift. I can never repay the debt of gratitude I owe you. This is for my unseen sister. Please convey my regards to your family. Yours truly, Peter. My mind raced back in time. Years ago, I was in New York, browsing through a bookstore, flipping through my favorite magazines. Outside, a young boy stood near a small pile of books, approaching passers-by, requesting something from them. Each time he was ignored, he would retreat to his spot, only to try again with renewed hope. At first, I dismissed it as a typical street vendor trying to make a sale, but the disappointment on his face was different. His resolve intrigued me. I watched him for a while before finally walking up to him. The boy was selling basic science books. As I approached, he eagerly presented them to me, hope flickering in his eyes. He was neatly dressed but wearing only a thin sweater despite the chilly weather. The books weren't useful to me, but something about him kept me from walking away. How much for all these books? I asked. How much can you give, sir? He countered hesitantly. You must have a price in mind. Whatever you think is fair, he said, his voice carrying a mix of hope and disappointment. How much do you need? $5,000. His answer was firm but tinged with desperation. These books aren't worth even $500, I mused aloud. His face fell, and I regretted my words instantly. I placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Tell me the truth, son. What's the real reason you're selling these books? The boy's composure broke. In fluent English, he poured out his story. Sir, I just finished high school. My father works at a small diner. I've been accepted into medical school, but we can't afford the tuition. My father is trying his best, but we're short on funds. What's your name? Peter Benson. You carry faith in your name, yet you're losing hope? I smiled. If I give you this money, will you be able to pay me back? You'll have to trust me, sir. You're the first person who has even asked me why I'm here. If I don't get the money, you might find me washing dishes in a restaurant instead of studying medicine. His words struck a chord deep within me. My mind warned me to be cautious, but my heart urged me to help. In the end, my heart won. I took out $5,000, money I had set aside for investments, and handed it to him. I don't know how much truth there is in your words, Peter, but something tells me I should help you. So here you go. I handed him the money. I have a younger daughter, Emily. If nothing else, I'll consider this a gift for her. Peter was speechless. His eyes welled up as he touched my feet in gratitude, a gesture unfamiliar in American culture but deeply moving nonetheless. Should I put these books in your car? No need. Keep them, I said, handing him my card. If you ever need anything, reach out. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had taken a gamble. Had I just been naive? I chose to keep the incident to myself. Days turned into weeks. Peter later sent me a letter informing me that he had successfully enrolled in medical school. Something within me felt fulfilled, and on a whim, I sent him another small amount to support his studies. Over the years, he would write me brief letters, 2 lines thanking me, 1 about his studies, and always 1 line for Emily, whom he considered his little sister. Then one day, he wrote that he had received a scholarship to study further in Australia. Time passed, and I heard little from him. When he sent a wedding invitation, I realized he had settled abroad. Meanwhile, Emily had grown up, and her wedding was soon approaching. Our family, though comfortable, had to make significant arrangements to match the groom's affluent background. And now, out of the blue, this check arrived. I immediately sent Peter an invitation to Emily's wedding. The big day arrived, filled with laughter and joy. Amidst the celebrations, a luxury car pulled into the driveway. A distinguished-looking gentleman stepped out, accompanied by his wife, who held a young child in her arms. I walked to the door and suddenly recognized him. "Sir, it's me, Peter," he said, his voice full of emotion. Before I could react, he touched my feet again, a habit he had never let go of. My wife was astonished. I hugged him tightly, overwhelmed by pride. His son nestled comfortably in my wife's arms, sensing the warmth of family. Peter had brought numerous gifts, but more than anything, he had brought love. He took part in every wedding ritual, playing the role of an elder brother to Emily with sincerity and joy. He made sure I didn't have to worry about a single expense. The wedding concluded beautifully. When it was time for Peter to return, we all accompanied him to the airport. As we bid him farewell, our eyes brimmed with tears, not of sorrow, but of deep gratitude and love. As his flight took off, soaring high into the sky, so did my faith in kindness, trust, and the bonds that fate weaves in the most unexpected ways. Smiled to myself, feeling proud of my foolish decision years ago. Sometimes, all you need is a little faith.